The 194th edition of the Roy's Boys podcast starts right now.
Carolina basketball family is the strongest there's ever been. There ever will be.
Nate Humphrey hands King Rice the ball. Pushes into Hubert Davis. 8 seconds. Davis trying to get free. Over to Fox. Fox, baseline. Up for the shot. Good. Off the glass. Oklahoma calls timeout. But the game is over. The game is over. Carolina has upset number 1 Oklahoma. Been ready on his second attempt. That one is no good. They battle for it. Loose ball. Recovered Marvin. He scores. With 20 seconds left to play. Goes back to Michael Jordan. Jumper from out on the left. Good! 63, 62, 13, 12, 11. Georgetown with one timeout. Brent Brown looking. Throw away to Worthy. 35. The Tar Heels are going to win the national championship. Carolina with foul. He takes the timeout. Technical foul. Technical foul. Brown gets it into Williams. Comes Williams front court. Williams on the drive. Gets it back out the head. Long outside shot. Short rebound. It's over. And how about the Tar Heels? They are the national champions. The Tar Heels are the national dadgum champions.
And that's what it takes when you big time games. You got to compete. You do it with your brain, and you got to do it with your heart too. And that's pretty doggone good.
From QCBroadcasting.com, this is the Roy's Boys podcast with your host, Josh Marlowe.
Coach should be in that post-game Zoom here coming soon as Coach Williams leans over and kisses the center jump circle, the NC center jump circle here in the Smith Center.
And there you just heard audio from Jones Angell, the voice of the Tar Heels, and from the Tar Heel Sports Network, detailing a very odd sequence that happened on Saturday night in the Smith Center. We didn't touch on this after the Duke game. I didn't think at the time it maybe was as appropriate, but a few days later, it's still a story regarding Carolina basketball, which is Roy Williams, as the team was leaving the court following their senior night victory over Duke, kissed the middle of the floor at the Smith Center and got a lot of attention because it's not something that he does usually after big wins or after senior day games or anything like that. You know, the dancing in the locker room, that's always been a tradition of him as a head coach, not kissing the floor. And now we're sitting here about 48, 72 hours after beating Duke, and it's still a storyline. And Anthony, I know you wanted this to be more of a discussion than I did because, first off, I don't think it's anything to be freaked out by. I don't think it's anything major. But Roy is getting older. He has battled some health issues during this season with COVID. It's been put a lot of stress on him like we probably don't understand. So if he chose to walk away, it would be understandable. But he did just sign an extension 2 years ago that has him under contract through 2025, 2026. I don't think he would walk away with that amount of with that long of a contract still on the table. But your overall thoughts, reactions from the head coach of the Tar Heels kissing the floor after the final home game the other night?
Yeah, I definitely think it's something that has to be discussed, at least on the podcast. I don't think that it is something to be worried about. I like how you were trying to basically throw me under the bus there and say that I'm trying to worry Tar Heel fans. I don't need to do that. They do that enough themselves. The message boards were blowing up, of course, after this. People trying to speculate what exactly was going on. My favorite part of the speculations were, he was talking about Wes Miller during the week. You know, why was he talking about Wes Miller? There was a question that was asked by one of the reporters about Wes Miller. It wasn't just casually on Roy's mind, and he decided to bring up Wes Miller. That was a question that was asked by one of the local writers because of the success that Wes was having. I believe, are they the number one seed in their conference? That's the reason that question was asked. That really doesn't have much relation to this. But it is worth noting that Roy is 70 years old. That is 4 years older than Dean Smith was when Dean Smith retired at 66. These have been two really tough back-to-back years in terms of him coaching-wise, everything that's gone on. COVID-19, I mean, look, as much as we want to act like maybe it hasn't taken a toll on the head coach of the Tar Heels, it probably has. It probably has taken a toll on both of the older head coaches on campus. But even if they don't let it on as much as, some of the other coaches maybe around the country might be letting it on. And you can see that, Roy is definitely, I think, these last 2 years have been pretty tough on him. I'm with you. I really don't think there's a ton to read into it. I don't know if it was just a spur of the moment thing. I thought the answer in the press conference was a bit strange. I didn't really think that was a legitimate reason. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong there, but I don't know if that was the actual reason that he kissed the floor or what he thought of in that moment. I don't really know.
I mean, 10-1 at home, really good year, and a lot of their wins that have solidified their NCAA tournament standing have happened on that home court. And if you remember last year, he doesn't handle losing at home very well, and Carolina lost way too many games at home a year ago. It also, him doing that, comes on the precipice of him giving a $3 million gift to the university, which got announced today. And so I want to touch on two things. You brought up Dean Smith. How Dean Smith was 66 when he retired, and Roy Williams is now 70. That's a great point. When Roy Williams took the job, Dean Smith told him the only regret he had was that he quit too young. 66 isn't old to be coaching college basketball. 70 years old isn't too old to be coaching college basketball. What killed Dean Smith was doing everything that comes with the job, all the Rams Club meetings, all the extracurriculars. Well, now Carolina's at a position where they've made that job easier on Roy Williams. You can do all these other things now much more easier with technology and stuff like that. So I think he will always come in the back of his head that he promised him he wouldn't quit too soon. So I think that's part of it. And the amount of respect he has for that man, he wouldn't break a promise. The gift, I talked to Adam Lucas on Friday, and he pretty much said the reason why we'll never appreciate Roy Williams is that no one loves Carolina more than that man. And I think he continues to prove that. So maybe that was him knowing, hey, I'm about to give some money to the school. He loves this place, how much it means to him.
Could be.
Just a simple thank you to and gratitude for a place that means a lot to him. But what it all comes back to is he's not going to leave the program in a bad spot. Not saying that we're in a bad spot right now. And I know at the end of the year we're going to do a state of the program kind of thing with Carolina basketball. Carolina's not in a bad spot to hand it over to Wes Miller, whoever, but it's not in a great spot, and he's not going to set someone up to fail.
Well, the team next year is going to come in with pretty high expectations, depending on who's returning, which now there's people that are starting to get concerned that Caleb Love and Day'Ron Sharpe are going to leave. I don't think either one of them should go to the NBA. Day'Ron Sharpe, it's pretty easy if I'm Roy Williams. I'm telling him, look up Tony Bradley, tell me if you want to leave and go to the NBA, because that's about the range that you're going to get drafted in. It is not, I mean, look, if you are... It's pretty much gotten where we're at the NBA level. If you are drafted outside of the top 15 picks, there's a good chance you will never see the NBA. I mean, that's the way that it's gotten. And if Day'Ron Sharpe stays, you feel like he can grow into one of those players that could get inside those top 15 picks. You feel like he's a player that could have success. Now, of course, there are exceptions to what I just stated. But for the most part, if you look at the most successful guys, the guys that have immediately come in and been able to contribute, you've got to be inside that top 15. So I'm not overly concerned that the team's not going to be in a great standing. Like you mentioned, I mean, I think that Roy Williams is definitely, I don't think he's going to quit too soon. And again, I'm not saying that he's going to step away, but when he originally said that, how could he have predicted what's going on with COVID-19, everything that's gone on with that? You know what I mean? Look, him and Wanda are getting older. They have to be a little more cautious of their health, everything like that. So that makes a little bit of sense if maybe that's something that he's worried about in the back of his mind. But, I mean, look, I really hope that wasn't the end. If it was, that would pretty much be a Roy Williams goodbye, because he's not, let's just put this out there. He is never going to be the coach that he will announce before the season that he is retiring and he will have the farewell tour that some of these other coaches had. That is not Roy Williams. He doesn't, we've seen it when he got to 900, when he passed Dean Smith, even when he got to 800, he doesn't like those types of ceremonies. He hates them. He can't stand being in the limelight because he thinks that pretty much his job is to put the guys in the right position. They're the reason that he is where he's at. So I think that, there's just no way of really telling. The main thing to take away from this, if you are a Tar Heel fan, is that you need to enjoy Roy Williams as much as you can, because there really is no way of knowing when he's going to decide this is my time to step away. So this probably, I highly doubt that this is the end. My comfort level right now, I'd probably say 98% chance he's back next year. But I think that it is something that you got to keep in the back of your mind as a Tar Heel fan, that, hey, we need to enjoy having this Hall of Fame coach, because there's no guarantee that the next person that comes in is going to be able to have anywhere near the type of success that Roy Williams has had. I mean, the fact that you've had Dean Smith and Roy Williams as your head coaches, even when you had Bill Guthridge as your head coach, the amount of success he had in a short time is amazing. There's no guarantee that that's coming around the corner after Roy Williams leaves to be continued.
Yeah, no, and there's a very good chance that it's not going to happen for this amount of sustained success. Carolina's going on roughly 60 years of Carolina, or really just of college basketball excellence. Is why we don't need to spend our nights bitching about Roy Williams if we lose a game in the middle of February about this guy needs to retire, he's too old, all that.
You're right about that.
You've got a guy that is one of the three or four best head coaches to ever coach the game of college basketball. The numbers back that up, so just enjoy it. But I'll say this. He didn't quit when the NCAA came after his program. He didn't quit when cancer got in his body, when he couldn't even walk on the sidelines. I don't see him leaving after a COVID season and stuff like that. And also, I think he knows in the back of his head, if he retires, I got to rename my podcast and start over. And he doesn't.
It's the number one factor, right?
He doesn't want me. He doesn't want. He does not want to do that to me. So, with that, let's move on to a better topic before we get to the ACC tournament. Because it is tournament week, all the leagues around the country are giving out their awards for this season. Carolina had 3 guys take on some awards this year, with Armando Bacot being named to the All-Third ACC team, leading Carolina in scoring at 11.7 points per game, 12.4 points per game in conference play, and shooting 62% from the field, the 9th highest for an eligible player under Roy Williams. And the freshmen that you mentioned, Day'Ron Sharpe and Caleb Love, they were named to the all-freshman team after Sharpe led the team in rebounds, coming off the bench for the most of the year. 7.8 points per game, led the ACC in offensive rebounds per game, led the entire country in offensive rebounding percentage. And then Caleb Love leading the team with 94 assists, second in three-pointers made and steals, third on the team in scoring at 10.4 points per game, averaged 18 points and 7 assists against Duke. No other Tar Heel in the history of that rivalry has averaged such numbers. So congratulations to those guys. Carolina didn't have the season they wanted to have, only going 10-6 in the league, finishing 6th in the regular season, but we still got some guys that got some awards, and Carolina is now building momentum for the all-important ACC tournament. Now, this tournament doesn't mean as much as it could have been, where Carolina could have entered Greensboro having to win a game or two to solidify their NCAA tournament standing. Carolina's in the tournament. They're going to play in March Madness in Indianapolis starting in a week and a half or so. But this is a really big deal for this team. And I'll put it to you this way. I don't really ever value winning the ACC tournament or playing well in the ACC tournament for the most part. I could really care less what Carolina does in the ACC tournament most years, because with us being younger, it didn't mean as much as all the older fans where you had to win the tournament to make the tournament, like in the 60s and even in the 70s for a little bit, where now Carolina usually, when they go into the ACC tournament, they're playing to solidify a number 1 or number 2 seed and stuff like that. So for the most part of my career, I usually want Carolina to lose in the ACC tournament to fuel a NCAA tournament run. You